Alright, so anyway, this is Book 2, Episode 5, Peacekeepers. And this pretty much centers around Korra trying to convince the president of Republic City to send reinforcements to the Southern Water Tribe. And right away, it was really cool seeing Chief Beifong again. Thankfully, she hasn't softened up a bit. I mean, quite the opposite. She's grown even more hard-ass than before. And I also really liked how it seemed Asami had more lines in this episode and was actually doing something rather than being in the background. And am I the only one who thinks Bolin and her are going to get together? I mean, maybe it's just me, but I think it'd be really cool if those two got together. You know, hey, opposites attract. So Korra decides to see the president. And predictably, the effort to get more troops for the Southern Water Tribe doesn't go very well. And I kind of predicted that the president wouldn't help. One, because it's way too easy to just go, yeah, we're gonna beat them right away, and there's no need to contact the spirit world at that point. And two, I understood where he was coming from, because he doesn't want to get in the middle of a national dispute that he believes should be settled peacefully by the two sides of the Water Tribe. And predictably, that doesn't sit well with Korra. So she basically tells him, fuck you, and decides to go behind his back in order to help her family. Now here's where the crazy-ass zany Varric comes in. And honestly, I've really warmed up to this guy. I mean, I thought he would be annoying as fuck and long overstay his welcome this season. But he's actually managed to become funnier with each episode. And in Peacekeepers, his hilariously odd shenanigan of the week consists of him eating a chili and hanging upside down in order to have a brainstorm session. It's just so odd. I mean, I don't know why it made me laugh as much as it did, but it was indeed funny as hell, and actually crucial to the story, because he's the one who comes up with the idea for Korra to go see General Iroh and ask him for help. And unfortunately, there's also a lot of relationship drama in this episode. If you were tired of seeing Korra and Mako bicker at each other in previous episodes, then shit, you're gonna have a hard time getting through this. Korra basically wants Mako to be on her side, but Mako has a sworn duty as a cop and is pretty much bound by the law and doesn't want Korra doing anything rash. And this causes the two to have some pretty heavy arguments. And unfortunately, what happens in this episode doesn't really do anything to ease the tension. The Southern Water Tribe decide to have a peace march in Republic City, and Korra joins them because, like she said, she cannot be neutral because this is her family. And, kind of also not surprisingly, the Northern Water Tribe arrive, protest, boo them, and if I remember, throw stuff at them as well. And that was actually a pretty powerful scene because it really shows the different personalities of the North and Southern Water Tribes. And it reminded me a lot, I mean, it does, you can't help but think this, it reminds me of the peace rallies that Martin Luther King used to do. And it was very effective to see that play out in this kind of fantasy world setting. And to make things worse, a building is bombed, and Korra automatically believes the Northern Water Tribe are behind it, because, you know, I don't blame her for thinking that. And Mako has a brief fight with the bombers, but actually he starts to suspect that the Northern Water Tribe isn't behind it, because the bombers were firebenders. And in true crime movie cliche fashion, when he brings this to the attention of his peers at the metal bending police force, they pretty much belittle and laugh at him. And how many times have you seen that in other crime movies? Or specifically, cop dramas. And Mako is also has an encounter with the president, who pressures him into revealing Korra's plan to get troops from Iroh. And thanks to that, Korra's plan to go to Iroh for help is pretty much thwarted because of that. However, Iroh tells her that maybe his grandfather, Zuko, can help her. So she's more determined than ever now to get troops, now that the president has pretty much cut off a lot of her resources. So this is kind of a last-ditch effort for her, because she has to go all the way to the Fire Nation to do that. And stupid Bolin reveals that Mako might have revealed her plan to the president, so she storms off, goes to the metal-bending police force station, basically calls him out, tells him he backstabbed her, he betrayed her family, he is pretty much a piece of shit. And he tells her, look, I can't really do anything else. I am bound by the law. I took an oath, and I do not want to see you get hurt because of a rash decision. And even before this happened, I was watching this with a friend, and I said, dude, I honestly would not be surprised if they broke up by the end of this episode. And unfortunately, I was right. I mean, yeah, and it was a really tough breakup scene, because Mako's the one that initiates it. Where he's like, maybe I can't do this anymore. And she goes, well, what are you saying? And she's like, are you breaking up with me? And he pretty much is like, yes. And she storms out. And I honestly see where I'm with her on this one, because I think, yeah, Mako did kind of stab her in the back. I know he's bound to the law, but come on, dude, you can lie a little bit, because really, come on, if this is your girlfriend we're talking about, this is the fucking Avatar we're talking about. You do not want to piss off the Avatar. So, also, before I talk about the ending, there's this odd little subplot where Milo is trying to train Pokey to do tricks and to be at his command. So Tenzin steps in and teaches him how to be like the alpha male for Pokey. And it was kind of a... I hope they do where Milo actually succeeds in training not only Pokey, but a lot of the flying lemurs. He amasses... It was pretty funny how he amasses this whole army of flying lemurs at his command. So, I hope they go back to this, because if they don't, this was just... I wish this wasn't in here, and I wish there was just more time focused on Korra and the Southern Water Tribe dilemma. And also, I forgot to mention, there's a scene earlier in this episode where Unalaq tasks Desna and Eska to track down and bring Korra back to him. And he tells them that he needs Korra alive so that she can activate the northern portal to the spirit world. Which, hey, is something, that's gonna be something really weird to see if she tries to do that. So, I don't know. We'll see about that. And Korra basically gets on a boat and drives out in order to get to the Fire Nation. And it was so sad to see her driving the boat, and she starts to cry, and you can see the tears come out of her eyes, and that was just so fucking sad, because I gotta admit, I was kind of like, man, this fucking relationship drama, I hope it stops. And then when they break up, I went, no, please, get back together. I like that a lot more, because this is sad. Unfortunately, on her way there, she's intercepted by Desna and Eska. And especially fucking Desna, who is so angry at her for thinking that she stole that Korra stole her husband away, with Bolin, away from her. So she is pissed and coming at her with a fucking vengeance. So the three have a really cool fight in this episode, and of course beautifully animated. And a dark spirit finds its way to them while going underwater, and it basically erupts from the water. Desna and Eska flee. Korra and the spirit have this brief scuffle where she goes into the Avatar state and tries to do her uncle's spirit calming technique. And you think, and like during this whole fight, I was like, please don't be a cliffhanger. Please don't be a cliffhanger. Please don't be a cliffhanger. And then when she's trying to calm the spirit, and you could see it start to calm down and get all gold, I was like, oh, thank God, it's not a cliffhanger. And then that fucking thing breaks her spell and just jumps all the way in the air and drags her down to the ocean. And that's the last you see of this episode. And god damn it, it's another torturous cliffhanger. Ugh, man, these things kill me. Crap. But hey, that means I'm looking forward to this episode, the next week's episode, even more. I mean, I know Korra's gonna be all right, but man, it's so sad to see how almost all these characters are at a low point now. It's feels like the Empire Strikes Back ending, where it's like emotional turmoil, all this bad stuff is going on, and it kind of just seems hopeless a little bit. But we'll see next week. And one thing I want to say before I sign out is that I'm reading the trivia of the wiki page of this episode, and I guess a statue of Sokka appears in this episode? Huh. I'll have to go back and rewatch that and try to find where that is. Anyway, if you like what you see, subscribe. Thanks for watching, and as always, have a good one.